This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jeff Rubin Show, coming to you live from Jeff Rubin Studios, here today with Chase Mitchell and Pat Cassels. Gentlemen, hello. Chase, you go first so everyone knows what you sound like.
Hey, this is me. This is my voice.
Now Pat.
Hey, this is Pat.
I did not plan this very well. Let me tell you guys what's going on here. We are all friends. Best friends, and we're not all best friends, but we're friends. And I don't know what people actually know or believe.
You were worried someone was going to debunk that.
So yeah, we all kind of know each other from working at College Humor a little bit. Chase was a friend of the family, worked at The Tonight Show for a few years. Pat, you guys know if you guys have listened to the show. And Pat and Chase were hanging out without me, even though we're all best friends.
Oh, crap. Oh, my God, right.
And I guess it came up that Chase had gone, as a youth, to space camp. And Pat told me... actually, sorry, one of your phones is going off. Can you guys just turn your phone off? I'm just getting a little of the, the thing.
It's not me.
It's NASA. They're onto us.
Can you just put it in airplane mode or just like...
Leave all of this stuff in.
Sorry, so what was I saying? So Pat was telling me that Chase had gone to space camp, and Pat suggested, as he often will, which is very helpful, thank you as always, Pat, that might be a good podcast episode. And I said, you know what? You're right, that would be a good podcast. Why don't you come to, and we'll talk to Chase about going to space camp. And that brings us to now.
That's a news scoop in our world. Oh, my God. Breaking... Chase Mitchell.
And Chase...
I should also point this happened in Havana, so we really making the most of this trip, just talking about
really enjoying
space camp.
Cuba.
Not going to the
about
beach.
space camp.
So you guys were in Cuba with some other people?
With one other people.
How did space camp come up?
God, how did it come
Chase
up?
Chase is always trying to casually mention that.
Yeah, I'm always trying to work in every
explaining
conversation.
why America
We were
is
pretty
so great.
rum drunk the entire weekend, so I don't really know how it came up.
I mean, Chase... You could not go 5 minutes without him dropping space camp. It was kind of insane. Like, he would find a way to tie everything into space camp.
Now, just to be clear, Chase, you were not like... usually on the show we have like an authority, like someone who worked there or, was in space or something like that. You just went there as a kid.
I'm the furthest thing from an expert on space camp.
Okay.
Should we briefly explain what space camp is?
Great. Well, I think Chase should explain what space camp is.
Space camp is where your parents send you for a few days during the summer if
Only
they
a few
don't want
days.
to.
Not like it's not like summer camp.
It wasn't like a full on summer camp experience. I never really had a full summer camp thing. This was it was actually my grandparents' idea. I think they tried to do a lot of stuff with us as kids that would I guess enrich us in some way or
it sounds so lame.
Yeah, and I think that it was. And I think that actually, I think that our school, or our elementary or middle school, had taken a field trip to the Huntsville, Alabama Space and Rocket Center.
Where are you from?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And so
is that far from Alabama?
It's like a few hours. It's like a road trip where if you're on a bus for a school field trip, it's long enough to where you can play Spin the Bottle in the back of the bus.
Whoa!
If your name is not Chase Mitchell, I was not,
and you're not like I'm
not,
going to space camp.
Yeah, I was not invited to Spin the Bottle. But yeah, we went and I guess checked out this Space and Rocket Center, and I thought it was pretty cool. And I think I must have mentioned something in front of my grandparents of I thought it was pretty neat, and being an astronaut looks fun. And so they took that idea and ran with it, and I think they
Chase wants to be an astronaut when he grows up.
I think they were really pushing for this astronaut thing, and so they set up for me to go to space camp, I think, the following summer.
How old were you?
I want to say I was 11 or 12. I was in one of I think 2 different chubby phases of being a kid.
Does that affect your time at space camp?
Absolutely, it did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Before we do that, The one thing I
Hey,
need
in
to
space, no one weighs anything.
That's right. I think that's why I wanted to go.
The one thing I really wanted to know, I should have Pat here to punch up the podcast all the time. The one thing I really wanted to know, or before we get into the specifics, just general overview. Was Space Camp fun?
I think that I came away from it feeling mostly positive about it. I mean, I think there are photos of me somewhere that my parents still have where I have a look of joy upon my face. So I think that it was like a net positive.
Okay, so let's go through the experience kind of step by step. I guess, do you remember finding out that you were going to space camp? Was there a you're going to space camp moment?
Yeah, I don't know if it was like a Christmas gift or what, but I can remember my grandparents letting me know that I would be attending space camp.
And did you see? I learned about space camp from, I believe it was one of the prizes on Double Dare or one of those kids game
it used
shows.
To be, yeah.
So in a way, it was kind of, I think it's like a kid dream, which
Totally.
is hence our fascination.
Yeah, I think that's definitely mine.
Did you have that? Were you
I
like, oh my
definitely
god, I'm going to do the
remember-
thing that you get if you win Double Dare?
I definitely remember, always seeing at the end of those shows, and they would always use the footage of the kid in the gyroscope or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
I want to go in that fucking thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know why that would be fun, but
It was. I mean, it is the grand prize on the kids game show, which means that there was a boardroom full of adults and thought, what is the best thing we can give away to a kid? I think it was probably related, and this might have come up on a previous episode of the show, that it was possibly related to just space camp. There must be a space camp in Florida down where by Orlando, right?
I can't have been going
Cape
to
Canaveral.
the top space
which is where Nickelodeon was,
Right, yeah. So they must have been sending these kids to Cape Canaveral. I think that there is probably one in Houston.
But yours was an official, I don't know what the accredited, I don't know.
Yeah.
Was NASA run?
NASA runs it,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's cool.
So Huntsville is it's a rocket town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a place that's full of engineers and it's this weird, one very intelligent community in Alabama. Not that the rest of Alabama is fine, but
rocket scientists.
right. These are literal rocket scientists in Alabama, and I don't know how many people know that it's there, but it's basically it's where they've amassed this collection of rockets that were actually used. I mean, they have a big Saturn V rocket, and they have all these other rockets on the property. So there's a museum there. It's sort of like the Air and Space Museum, but just mostly focused on space.
Saturn V is the one that's the size of a skyscraper.
Yeah,
Kinda huge,
it's huge,
Apollo
yeah.
one.
This was. Did you go during the summer? Or did you get to take off school?
This was during summer. Yeah, I never would have been. My parents never would have condoned taking off school to go play astronaut.
What do you usually do what did you usually do during the summer? This is going to surprise listeners, something of an indoor kid. So my parents had to make me go to camp because otherwise I would have done nothing but play Nintendo.
Totally.
So I don't even know what regular summers look like for kids who don't have to be made to do that.
Yeah, for me it was a lot of Game Gear and snacks. A lot of snacks happening.
So were you nervous at all to be going away to,
I was, yeah.
Some kids are nervous to go to
much
summer
more of
camp, especially younger kids, and that's pretty young.
Yeah, my parents did try to get me out of my room a lot during the summer, and so I was pushed into a lot of camp-like things, but never a summer camp, but always a shorter commitment than that. So
why never summer camp? Summer camp was such the default answer to me, and I got to ask, is it because I'm Jewish?
I didn't even know that Jewish summer camp was
I don't know why.
thing.
None of the camps I ever went to, we never said prayers or anything.
Yeah.
There was nothing explicitly Jewish about it, but every single kid was Jewish.
I honestly didn't know that this was a phenomenon until Wet Hot American Summer came out.
It might be a regional one. I'm really not sure of the.
I never did sleepaway camp either. I don't know, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. We did day camp, which was just this municipal city thing, but it was your parents drop you off there in the morning. You do crafts. It was like summer camp. You just don't sleep there.
I'm not saying all kids need to or even should go to summer camp. I had a great time. It's just interesting with me with Chase because Chase's parents are obviously looking for ways to get him out of the goddamn house.
Yeah,
and,
it was weird. It was weird. They definitely wanted
solution.
They wanted me out of there, but they wouldn't really commit to a full.
So what was day one of space camp? What you show up is it the first scene of is it like Act 2 of Armageddon where some guys like gentlemen or what? Like was it a classroom?
It was exactly like that. Yeah, weirdly, Owen Wilson was there. So.
All right, awesome.
God, I haven't seen Armageddon.
I totally forgot Owen
Owen Wilson's in Armageddon.
You can tell that it was the like mid '90s because Owen Wilson was still considered an expendable character actor at the time.
Yeah, his part is so small in that movie. It's like you cannot even emphasize. He has like one line and he dies.
Yep.
And not even a dramatic death. They just like discover his head with a rock in it.
Oh yeah. I think like Michael Clark Duncan got like a much more majestic. Like I think he was like driving the.
I don't remember Armageddon at all.
Michael
like
Clark Duncan.
I remember Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler, the Animal Crackers song, and the ending. That's the only thing I remember from that movie.
Except in your memory now, it's Ben Affleck putting Animal Cracker on Bruce Willis's torso.
What's that movie about Ben Affleck putting animal crackers in Liv Tyler's vagina? Armageddon? Yeah, that's the one.
I honestly can't even really remember the destruction. Like I'm thinking of the wave coming across the skyscraper, but I think that's Deep Impact.
That was Deep Impact, yeah.
So anyway,
which I was just in an argument with someone the other night saying that Deep Impact is the superior film. I stand by that.
People kind of consider it like the classier film.
Yeah. I've never seen Deep Impact. Oh, you got to
see Deep Impact, dude. It was came out the same year.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you why I didn't see it because I was away at summer camp.
Wow, full circle.
But like Armageddon was big enough that like you got to catch up with it when you get back. That's why.
Armageddon was the first movie that I can remember there being character posters for. Like I remember there were character posters for each character in Armageddon, and it was always like he's doing it for love, and she's doing it for like. And it was
that is not my least favorite Michael Bay movie. I will say
it's not your least favorite.
It is. I like it.
Yeah,
like, I don't hate it as much as I hate
Transformers.
A lot of his other movies.
All three of them are worse.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the fourth one.
'98.
So okay, what? We got off track. Space camp.
Space.
Still space adjacent.
So you got how did you get there? Is there like a bus? I remember being dropped off at the bus for summer camp, and like your parents are dropping you off. It's kind of a dramatic scene. I didn't cry.
My grandparents drove me, so I was walking through the like space camp building with my grandparents. So I was clearly one of the cool kids.
It's like you're all 9 years old. Like no one shows up on like a motorcycle by themselves.
I think I was like I feel like I was like 11 or 12. I need to like check it with someone to verify this for sure. But
it was a ballpark. That's fine.
Yeah, I was in that range.
It's so funny if I'd asked you then, you'd be like, "I'm 11!" Like so mad that someone like so. It's so important to you.
I've pushed a lot of it down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we showed up. I remember like walking through the building with kind of like I think you like stop at a station. Someone gives you like your bedding and stuff like that. So you're kind of walking with that stuff, and then you go and like meet your like bunkmates or whatever, and then you say goodbye to your grandparents. Yeah.
Who are your I like this format. I just like going like day one.
Yeah.
Like because it's the nitty gritty is what I care about.
Here's either
the bunkmates. So who are the bunkmates? Was it like, hey, I'm Scorpion, I'm Spin,
Yeah, it was sort of like, all right, Tacklebox. Here's either your friends for the next few days or the kids who will torment you and you'll never forget it.
No.
But it was kind of a mix of those people. I remember there was one guy who was like a little like fatter and lamer than me, and I was like, good. I was like, that's who I'm going to zero in on. He'll be my buddy until they turn on him, and then I will switch sides.
And you're not, to clarify, you're not a mean jock here. You define yourself.
I was a little fat twerp, I believe is the technical term.
Did you get to bring your Game Gear?
I did not. I was Game Gearless for the weekend, so it was a lot of like. I remember like late night chatting from bunk to bunk among people about like
what?
About stuff that we had not done with girls that we were lying about.
Are there? Okay, wait. So let's talk about like kind of that sociological.
You're at space camp. Obviously, you're all
We're
lying.
all lying. Yeah.
Are there girls go to space camp? They're just not in your bunk, right?
There were no girls in our bunk. There were girls there, but there
certainly there's female astronauts and rocket scientists and so forth.
There were definitely outnumbered by the dudes. The girls were represented, but it's Alabama and it's
Okay, now what about bullies? Because this is space camp. This should theoretically be a bully-free zone, but I wonder if
it was. But I feel like people like kind of, people who maybe in their real lives were dorks were like, all right, wait, I'm the alpha here.
Yes, yes, that's what I want to find out.
I'm gonna be the space camp bully. So yeah, I do remember a guy being kind of an asshole. I mean, there wasn't like, there weren't any like fights or anything like that, but I remember getting teased a little bit about being fat. Yeah, thanks.
Man.
You're out. Thanks for bringing me in here and interrogating me,
making you relive that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't anything major. I was used to it.
We don't have to focus on the bullying. I really care more about like the moon rocks and stuff. But go where it takes you. I just want to follow your memory hole.
I mean, it was I met the people who were going to be in there, and yeah, there was so basically really in my mind at this point, it's all everyone's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, like blurry faces, except for I remember this one kid who sucked more than me, and this one kid who was like kind of a jerk, and those are really the only two.
Wow.
They're like the.
It's so sad because I'm sure all the kids who are just nice and cordial to you are totally forgettable now. That's the weird way our memory works.
Dafoe and the Corbin Burnson.
They're the Owen Wilsons of your space camp experience. Just all forgettable.
You know what's funny? People. Like when I think about kids I went to summer camp to, and I think of like 12-year-olds and like the ones whose faces I can picture, I still pick like in my mind's eye they're kind of my age, and even though they were 12 then, like, and if I look at a 12-year-old now, like I don't look 12 anymore, so like they look like 12-year-olds look like babies to me now, and it's just so weird to me that like when I think of the people I knew back then, like I kind of up-age them in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
Do you do that? That's not really space related. I'm just reminiscing now.
So you're saying that in your memory hole, you remember your camp days as you being a grown man surrounded by children.
No, it's just like we were all grown men. I think that's how I'm like we were all. I think everyone aged together. Like they aged up in my memory with me, even though I haven't seen them in 20 years.
What did this space camp build? You said the space camp building. What is? I'm picturing like a cool like Canaveral, Cape Canaveral hangar type thing. Probably not that, right?
No, it was sort of like a campus, I guess. There was like a living quarters, and but you'd like walk
like a college campus.
Yeah, you'd like walk to all your activities. There was like a mess hall, like a cafeteria type
area. Were there facilities for space camp exclusively, or were there adult astronauts using them too?
I think they were for space camp exclusively.
Gotcha. So this is the space
camp. They actually built this camp specifically for this.
I think so. Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know why that surprised me a little bit. I just figured they would repurpose like an old.
I don't know what NASA does in Huntsville. I guess they like make. I guess it's where they make rockets and maybe and because I remember at the time one of the cooler things that we saw while we were there is they showed us some stuff that they were building for the International Space Station, which had not been launched into space at that point. So we got to see some like parts that would eventually be in space.
Oh, that's cool.
That is cool.
So I think they like make stuff there. Oh, I do remember they had
and one kid snuck on board. And next thing you know,
he was dead. They launched his dead body into space.
Not even. He just couldn't get out and starved. And then 4 years later, when they launched it, sorry.
But
that's really cool.
Now I'm thinking about it though, and I'm sorry, it's all coming to me kind of like piecemeal. But
no, I love this.
They did have one of those big water tanks there where they would train astronauts underwater. So there is some manner of training going on in Huntsville. I believe.
You didn't get to do the water thing?
No, that was for like real astronauts. So okay, so they definitely are doing some kind of astronaut shit there. In fact, I think that's their slogan. It's we do some kind of astronaut shit here.
It actually sounded more to me like a conspiracy theory, like you're talking about Area 51 or something. There's shit going on.
There's some kind of astronaut shit going on down there. Okay, so what did you get to do? What do you get to do at space camp?
Meat and potatoes here, yeah.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so I remember it's a mix between there's very like intensive. here's what astronauts do. Like, here's the history of NASA.
Oh
like,
my God!
So
There's
a lot
classes?
of like history stuff.
Oh, that's so boring.
Yeah, it's super boring.
Space camp.
If I go to space camp and then I'm like sitting in a
They do show you
Was there like a dawning realization, like when someone's like, the space program began in 1949?
Wait, I just came to fucking
like,
school.
Wait a minute, am I in class? Is it summer? Did I show up for class? Like,
but it is like it's kind of your fault for being like, wait, astronauts don't have to be smart. Why would an astronaut have to be smart just to fly a rocket into space and back?
It's all jumping into bungee cords and stuff.
But they did
right?
do a lot of it. I think whenever possible through like videos and stuff, which was kind of nice. So like they show you the whole like museum that they have there. They had an IMAX there, which was at the time was like very rare. There would only be an IMAX. The only one that I knew of, other than that, was at the museum.
That's back when the only IMAX movies were like boring.
Yes,
like,
they were all 45 minutes long, and they were
like,
about
the blood
turtles.
vessels.
Yeah. We did watch and it had like a wraparound IMAX screen. It was really cool. It was like instead of being the one that I had experienced prior to that was just a really tall, like just an extremely tall screen, and this was it kind of came over you, so that you were looking. It takes up your entire field of vision,
right? And
you're looking at like a dome, basically.
Right. The science museum I went to growing up. Shout out to the Liberty Science Center. That's what they had.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about
So we watched. I remember we watched a space movie in there that was about I think it was about astronaut training, and so we kind of took in that, and we checked out this museum, and then like I remember they would kind of like.
Or at any point you're like, I'm kind of into space. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
But like,
I mean, they do a really good job of like playing up
they
really like romance it up. I remember for it like after I was done with it, I remember coming home and being like, I'm gonna be an astronaut. And once I realized that like you had to like know math, I was like, oh, this is not for me at all.
Do they teach like do they teach you how? Obviously they can't teach kids like rocket science in 4 days, but like how much do they attempt to kind of like
shockingly little of the how is involved. Like they basically just teach you like why it's cool. Like here's what we do,
right?
Here's why it kicks ass, and that was pretty much it. But I mean like. There were like versions of camp things. Like I remember we would have like an arts and crafts day where like instead of making a ashtray or something, we made a rocket. We made like a small, like a very like basic rocket, and we kind of took turns.
Like the Estes like launchable thing.
Yeah, and we took turns launching them off, even though it was the exact same every single time. So we just had to watch like 60 people's rockets go like, tss, and that was it. I mean, there was but there would also be like, so there was like a beach day. I guess there's like a lake somewhere around there. So we would like, maybe they like ran out of space shit. They're like,
beach has nothing to do with it.
All right, by like Thursday we're out of space shit.
I don't
so
like
you guys,
that. That's a ripoff.
Yeah,
the rocket thing is not the coolest, but whatever.
Yeah, and I as a husky child was like, no one explained to me that I was going to have to wear a bathing suit at some point during this.
In space,
unexpected humiliation.
Look, there's no beaches in space. That's why I want to go to space. Wait, was Beach Day at all space themed at all?
No. It was just it's like time for some R&R, so we took our
R&R. And how long was the whole thing? 4 days? 3 days?
I think it was about 4 days. Yeah, I want to say.
Who is watching you? Are there counselors?
There were counselors. Yeah, I don't know how they were qualified or who takes that kind of job, but I'm guessing you.
It's Buzz Aldrin, actually.
You have to know. You have to know something about space, but not enough to like be doing something cooler.
Maybe they're high school or college interns or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like they were probably like engineering students or something. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff. We would also do. I remember there was a lot of like.
I'm really waiting for like there's
the space,
the gyroscope.
They say the gyroscope till like one of the last days. They're like, all right, we know you've been fucking waiting on this. We know you saw it at the end of Double Dare. Now we're gonna put you in the fucking gyroscope. Like,
do they like tease it? Like, you guys want to ride the gyroscope? well, you're going to have to wait another day or two because what we're doing right now is learning about the history of NASA.
Math is kind of a gyroscope for your mind.
Yeah, that's how they sold everything. It was like
a gyroscope or something else.
But is it also, I wonder if it's also, one, it's like the grand finale, maybe. Yeah. But also, maybe if someone doesn't behave, it's like a kind of a stick you can hold above.
Were there any troublemakers?
I thought you were going to say if they're a troublemaker, you just stick them in the gyroscope. Don't let them go, which would have been a great idea. Because I'm telling you, it's actually
there's a fun
that's barbaric.
There's a knob, and if you turn it past fun, it goes to punishments.
It's like Theon Greyjoy
fun and then not fun
to his thing.
But it's actually it's not as fun as you think it's going to be. I mean, it looks really fun when you see someone, third person. When you see someone in it, you're like, wow, that's really cool. It's really shaking that person's body around. When you get in there, you realize oh, this is my body now, and it hurts.
Okay, so this is a thing for those that never made it to the end of Double Dare. This is picture Da Vinci's Man.
That's exactly what it looks like. Yeah.
So you're in a circle and you're holding onto the outer edges of the ring with your arms. And your legs are kind of spread, and they're helped up to the ring. And then the ring spins on, I guess, 6 axes, I want to say. So you're spinning in 3 different directions, and you're just freaking out. The thing that I'm now realizing talking about is, it's not exactly... It wasn't designed to be fun. A roller coaster is $100 million worth of steel,
meant to,
engineered to make your body feel awesome and have fun. This was to see if you were going to barf before you got into space.
It's
right?
meant to be unpleasant, I think. It's meant to get you used to feeling really unpleasant.
Right,
and it is. Yeah.
Was that the finale? Was there other? There must have been other physical stuff.
There was plenty of other stuff. I mean, there was there was we made rockets, which was kind of cool. We did a lot of simulations, which was a mix of so we would do. I'm sure they would seem so tame now, but at the time they seemed really cool. That you'd, sit in a cockpit of a space shuttle, and there were video screens around you that kind of made it look like you're on a launch pad. I'm sure, very, I'm sure it was 32-bit graphics or something like that. But
that sounds like that to me is the key. That's the funnest thing I could think of for the whole trip.
Yeah, I don't know how much control we really had over it, because I think if we had full control, we would have just been crashing every time. But
you can't just fly the spaceship into your home in in New Jersey or whatever. And it's probably just got to press a button at a certain time.
Yeah. So there was a lot of there were several of those, and then there was another thing that we would do, which is where you'd basically be part of a crew of a launch. So you would kind of divide. Everyone would get roles, sort of like a high school play or something like that. Someone gets to be, the guy with the vest from Apollo 13.
Yeah. You?
No, I was like,
who's the guy with the vest on Apollo 13? I haven't seen that one.
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris, yeah. And everyone, so everyone would get divided. I was something much lower.
I
was
on the ground in that movie, right?
Yeah, control.
Yeah.
Mission control.
So they would be I forget. They must have been some kind of lottery where we kind of figured out who was going to get which roles. But someone 3 or 4 people would be the crew of the shuttle. And then, everyone else would be, mission control. So, obviously, it was very coveted to be, one of the people who are on the spaceship, even though you're not actually going anywhere.
Yeah, I think mission control actually sounds more fun.
I agree.
I want to be barking orders.
I agree.
Yeah, but then you would... It was very,
Post-Apollo 13, mission control, became a lot cooler, I think. Because
totally.
they were so
but it was
badass in that
we were
movie.
so kind of, micromanaged because we weren't really trusted to, We were reading from a script. We were reading from, a very... specific script where when it gets to your line, then you say fire rocket 2 or whatever, and that's basically all that you would get to do, and there wasn't a lot of room to actually fuck up.
What was your role? Were you, which part of
I
mission
was
control were you?
Something so low down. I was assistant key turner number 6 or something like that.
And then you forgot.
Oh, fuck.
We need someone to simulate sweeping up the control room It's got some simulated dirt on it.
There's some Simpsons joke about that where like there's a really meaningless roll or something like bouncing a ball or whatever.
You start sweeping, they're like, not like that. Sweep to the script.
But it was pretty fun in theory because it was like, all right, you're gonna be like, we're gonna do a run through of like a real mission.
Did it look like Mission Control? Did it look like the big
they
trees
did.
and stuff?
They did like put you in a room that looked vaguely like Mission Control, like the Alabama version of Mission Control.
I bet it is fucking adorable to see a bunch of like 12-year-olds pretending to be Mission Control, like one of them with the headpiece on, like walking around with a clipboard, acting serious.
They don't take photos or videos for your parents. I would want this. I get this now. I'm not a parent. I'm saying if I was a parent, I would want this.
They did not. They didn't. There was no record of it at all. It's been lost to the sands of time.
It's weird. I've never done a deep dive on Google, but there was an air of mystery to space.
Hence this podcast. They should post all of them online.
Was this
just all you being bullied though? Like Chase Mitchell being bullied.
Wow, I repressed a lot of this. I didn't remember any of this.
Stop throwing moon rocks at me.
Was the mission successful? I guess it was probably.
They kind of like make sure that it's successful. Yeah, as long as you follow the script, there's really nothing. And I think we were reenacting an actual like Apollo mission, and they definitely didn't choose 13. Like it was one of like the smoother sailing ones.
They actually gave Chase control of the Challenger, which was a really bad idea.
Yeah. What year was this? I'm trying to think of what was going on in space pop culture then. It's post Apollo 13.
Post Apollo 13. I guess mid 90s.
Post Apollo 13 is prime time space camp time. I feel like.
Yeah. So
kids
that's
love Apollo 13.
That's probably what put it in my head. Apollo 13 was what, 95?
Something like that.
Do we know?
That sounds mid 90s for sure.
Yeah, I think 94. It is crazy how we remember Space Camp and we're talking about it now, and I think people are going to be excited to listen to this because they've always wondered, and it's almost all from those Nickelodeon game shows. Like whatever paid promotional consideration they were, however that worked, like was worth it. Like it put Space Camp in my mind to the point where it's still in my mind, and as you're talking about this, I'm like, I wonder if they have an adult weekend.
Yeah. And also, who's going to Space Camp now? Like now that they don't have that anymore, do they?
I think they do. They do have Space Camp. I went to the website. I'm actually looking at it right now. And so they definitely do have Space Camp. But
what nerds are going to Space Camp right now, and can we beat the shit out of them?
Revenge will finally be Chase's.
They do still have it, but it's interesting if you think about the things you were talking about, like videos of the history of the space program. Certainly, I don't need to go to Alabama to find those anymore.
Right.
Like a mission control cockpit thing is like, I'm sure you can get freeware that's better than what they had then, you know? And then that's not even getting into like virtual reality and other things like that.
So this is Jeff explaining to his son why his son doesn't have to go to space camp.
Really diminishing my entire experience.
I want to know what they're doing. How they?
I hope it's gotten. Now it's just all gyroscope.
Well, I'll tell you this: I went to the Space Camp website and I'm looking at it, and it appears there are 3 programs. Space Camp, Vanilla Space Camp. I think that's what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. The Aviation Challenge, which actually is a picture.
I remember those kids were too cool to talk to. Like they kept them separate from us. They were staying in like a different building, and it looked like it should be Space Camp. Like they were like,
oh seriously, this second.
They were
when you did it?
They were staying. Yeah, the Aviation Challenge kids were definitely there doing their thing, and they were staying in like it looked like a dorm. They must. I think they're older. I think it's for older kids, maybe. Like Vanilla Space Camp is for little fat kids, and
this is like Maverick. This is like young Maverick from Tom Cruise.
Yeah, the Aviation Challenge is for like drafting kids into the Air Force, like immediately.
Wow.
There's a third thing, which I don't know if this existed when you were there. It might not have. And this is the one I'm actually kind of excited about. Space Camp Robotics. First of all, they got a cool logo with 3 gears, but I guess you learn and build robots. There's 2 women working on some sort of video game controller in the promotional photo, and it looks fun as hell. Robots is cool because Space Camp, you don't actually get to go to space; you're just sitting in a cockpit. But I bet the robots thing, you get to actually like solder something or something. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They did not have that.
Robots,
that sounds pretty cool.
You get some robots go to Mars. So that's probably like that's to train children to maybe work on like the Mars rover or something like that. I bet
Space Camp has a lot of like Mars shit now, and that's probably really cool.
So
I mean, it's sad because we're not. America is no longer sending people to space. Like we have to hitch rides with the Russians now or whatever.
Yeah,
after in the last couple of years.
Here's what spacecamp.com.
So NASA can really focus on Space Camp now. It's really all they've got going on.
Here's what spacecamp.com says about the Aviation Challenge. There's 3 levels, Mach 1, 2, and 3. This is Mach 1, grades 4 through 6, ages 9 to 11, so this is about when you would have been there. Mm-hmm. Aviation Challenge Mach 1 is a fast-paced, military-style program that uses simulated, realistic combat scenarios. Trainees are immersed in the fascinating realms of flight while learning the basics of military lifestyle. Trainees also learn shelter building and food procurement survival tactics and practice water survival skills with hands-on activities in our on-site man-made lake that is treated to swimming pool standards.
Do they also teach That's where we had beach day.
I am intimidated just reading that.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like I was waiting for you to be like, they'll also learn how to pilot a Predator drone around certain important targets.
It's really funny to think that while we were having our beach day, like Aviation Challenge kids were being waterboarded like 30 feet away.
This week's episode of the Jeff Rubin Show is brought to you by Squarespace. If you have a business or a podcast, whatever it is that you are making, if you want it to be seen, if you want it to reach other people, the best way to do that is with a website, and the easiest way to make a professional-looking website that just works is Squarespace. With Squarespace, there is never anything to install or patch, so instead of worrying about whatever that even means to patch a website, I don't even know what that means, and with Squarespace, you don't have to. You can just worry about whatever it is you're doing. You can also get your own domain name, and if that's something you've never done, if you have questions about that, you can use Squarespace's award-winning 24/7 customer service. It is easy to use, and that's probably why Squarespace is used by such a wide variety of people. You should be one of them. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter offer code Jeff Rubin to get 10% off your first purchase. That is squarespace.com, offer code Jeff Rubin. What was the most fun activity that you did there? When you think back at your time on Space Camp, what's the one that comes to mind?
God, I think probably one of the IMAX movies. Because I remember feeling like it was before 3D theaters came back and stuff like that, and I remember thinking there was a scene in one of those movies where you're basically launched at something, and I remember thinking fuck, that's amazing. That makes up for all the other lame shit they were doing, but I think that yeah, I don't know. I mean, now that I think back on it, there wasn't that much cool. Oh, there is a park that's kind of attached to. There's sort of a theme park, almost, that's part of this Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville, and there's some rides there and stuff like that. And so I think when we were done for the day with our stuff, we would get to we had carte blanche to roam this park and ride these rides and stuff. And then definitely on Parents' Day, when my parents came at the very end of it, we did all the rides and stuff like that. And they were pretty fun. There was I remember there was a Flying Dutchman type thing that's sort of made to look like a space shuttle where you kind of go back and forth like that, and there was
Do you go 360 all the way around, or just
back and forth? Yeah.
So these were not scientifically. This was not the space shuttle simulator.
To find a sort of a way to relate them to. There was a centrifuge. I remember that. You would be
That
lean
sounds
back
right.
against a wall. You'd kind of be sitting on.
That's a theme park ride.
It wasn't really a seat, but you were kind of strapped to a board, and as the centrifuge really started going,
the gravitron. This is the gravitron.
Would float up into the air, and so you'd be
I love that ride.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
But so it sounds like they built a small these are all normal carnival rides, but they gave them some kind of space.
They really spaced them up.
Yeah, interesting. And that was there year round.
Yeah. So that's kind of part of because aside from Space Camp, they have school classes coming there all the time, as we did, to kind of that's their to get to hook people in to come back for Space Camp. And so so there's a park and the the IMAX theater and stuff like that, and the museum, and that's kind of how a lot of classes will go through there and kind of have educational stuff. And
how was the food? Just cafeteria food? Was it pretty?
That's exactly what I was going to ask. How was the
food? Was totally mediocre.
Yeah, camp food is not famous.
Yeah.
What about a real element of camp? Just thinking about food at camp and parents coming. When you said Parents' Day, it really reminded me that at camp, for Parents' Day, the parents will often bring food, candy bars, soda, etc. for the kids, and it is like contraband for kids. Like you can't have it in your bunk because like it'll attract animals or whatever. But kids love candy, and also like you're not into like drugs and shit yet, so it's like. It's your contraband, right? Like you gotta have some everyone needs some contraband, right?
Course,
like it's just like fun to have something that you're like hiding.
Right.
Was that an element of it, or like could you bring candy or anything?
I think that parents were doing that probably. I think my parents probably looked at me and thought, I think he's all right on the candy. Like, maybe we should bring him some cocaine. I think that might actually help him a little bit. But yeah, no, they didn't bring me anything, but I remember that there was a big push for you to like try astronaut food. I remember they had like freeze-dried shit in the, there was a lot of it in like the gift shop and stuff, but they would also kind of like,
not just ice cream?
No, not just ice cream, although they did have like Dippin' Dots and stuff. There's definitely like a Dippin' Dots station at the...
No, astronaut ice cream was like the sort of...
No, I know, the real shit, yeah. They had that as well, and that's like, you put it in your mouth and it like sort of...
Who's Sean Spicer? Sean Spicer's the one that hates Dippin' Dots, right?
Yeah.
He had a war... Sorry, nothing.
It's not the ice cream of the future.
I learned recently why they don't sell... Like, why Dippin' Dots is only at very specific locations, like amusement parks and like, ski resorts and that kind of thing. It's not at the grocery store. Because to keep them in that ball shape, they need to be really cold, much colder than a standard refrigerator provides. You need like a specialty piece of equipment to maintain Dippin' Dot structure.
Oh, cool fact.
Yeah, I'd always wondered. What were we talking about?
How is that the ice cream of the future then? If it's harder to keep intact, that seems like
the
a
ice
step
cream of the very impractical future.
Yeah.
Chase, you don't sound like a kid who really had a good time at space camp. I got to tell you.
Well, now that I'm thinking back on it,
yeah, like you opened up telling us you had fun.
I was.
But there were some reservations, but like,
right? I mean, I did.
Going through it, like none of your memories are like, and we had fun doing that.
None of your memories are like. Yeah, so sorry for having me on this podcast.
No, it's okay. I mean, I think this is not an advertisement.
No, your memories are great. I think you're just like wondering, did you enjoy it?
Like, I mean, I just get back to that.
The crazy thing is that
should it be the grand prize on Double Dare? Is it that good? It sounds like maybe not.
I don't know what NASA was giving Nickelodeon to like put. I don't know how much they were paying them, but yeah, there's definitely like it's not as fun as advertised. Like the gyroscope is kind of the microcosm of space camp itself. Like it looks like it'll be really fun, and then like instead it just kind of makes you sick. And
it's so funny,
someone makes fun of you. Yeah,
the gyroscope is so specifically tuned to make the kids think it's cool. It's just like going upside down and doing flips is cool. It's just like I want my body to be making as much motion as possible.
Yeah.
Like
when you finished, like so you get home, are you like? Was there like at least like a week where you were like, I think I might be an astronaut?
Yeah, totally. I like it does. I mean, the part that I can't really convey is the way that the kind of like you had to be there of it is the like they really play up the kind of the like I don't know nostalgia or like the gravity. Of being an astronaut.
You should be a counselor.
Yeah. They make it seem so fucking cool to be like a space pioneer, and
which is cool.
It is, yeah. And so yeah, when I came back, I did like I had a time of being like, oh yeah, maybe that's what I'm meant to do. I had no evidence for that other than the fact that I was like one of hundreds of children who were dropped off there for space.
After I saw Jurassic Park, I wanted to be a paleontologist for like 5 years after that. Like that 93 like 90 like to like the late 90s. That's what I was going to do. And then it faded obviously.
It's sort of like with Indiana Jones being an archaeologist. It's like but the part that you're seeing in the movie is not anything that you're going to get to do. You're just doing like if you're a paleontologist, you only get to do that scene in the beginning where you're using a toothbrush on some bones.
But that was okay. I guess I mean obviously because Indiana Jones to me is a more false representation because that's saying like, hey, this is what a normal in modern times. The full-time archaeologist job is this.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park. Even as a kid in '93, I knew dinosaurs couldn't be cloned. So I know if I'm a paleontologist, I'm never going to have to deal with like an actual dinosaur.
Grant is like...
So I was... Just the digging of dinosaur bones was enough for me. Obviously, I was still romanticized by the movie, but I think I understood the fact that I would never see a T-Rex alive, I think.
Dr. Grant is like a real paleontologist who just happens to be thrown into this extraordinary situation.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Whereas Indiana Jones is like doesn't really work like an archaeologist. Let me ask you guys this for both of you now. Chase? Do you maintain this interest in space? You're not an astronaut. The window for that opportunity is probably closing pretty quickly.
Hey, I could still get it together.
Do you? I don't know. Maybe is it like tennis? Like where if you're not an astronaut by the time you're 16, you're never going to be an astronaut. But I guess do you? Are you still interested in space and NASA? Because not everyone is. And I guess, Pat, I'd ask the same question about you and dinosaurs and paleontology. Do you think, like, even though you never became paleontologist, as an adult, you have an above-average interest because of, this childhood thing?
It did, I remember for, probably a number of years after that, I was really into From the Earth to the Moon when that came on HBO. And I was kind of, I was probably, a little smug about it when it was on. I was like... you probably don't get this the way that I do because I went to space camp.
That's pretty good. I've actually never that even because I loved Apollo 13, but that miniseries was so geeky that I never
watched that. I like space. I like NASA. I hope we go up there, but I watch From the Earth to the Moon.
It's not on HBO Go, which I think is a really big problem.
That is stupid of them.
Yeah.
Space. It's kind of space is kind of like an intoxicating thing, and I think that it's there. Evidence of that is that Ron Howard and Tom Hanks got so fucking into it when they were making Apollo 13, and they were like, wait, let's do 13 more hours of this for HBO, and it was great. It was one of the first prestige miniseries that HBO did, and it was really fascinating.
Was your argument for space is cool that Ron Howard and Tom Hanks like it?
Yeah,
not the infinite mystery of it. Just that
I get really into whatever
that's
Ron
my
Howard.
argument for Hitler was bad. Is that Tom Hanks and Ron Howard don't like him?
I just love whatever Ron Howard's into. I'm really into baseball hats.
The Grinch.
Yeah, I got super into the Grinch for a few years.
Bryce Dallas Howard. What about you, Pat? Do you have any dinosaur interest as an adult?
Oddly, I think the paleontology obsession went away at some point, and I did what I'm doing now. Blah blah blah. Oddly, I feel like it's I'm more interested in space now than I am about dinosaurs. So maybe I've joined Chase's camp.
And I'm more interested in dinosaurs.
Space Dinosaur Camp?
The movie? It's funny though. I should actually. I keep everyone. I think space, especially when you're in college and stuff, and you start smoking weed.
Whoa, dude!
Like I just did right now, brothers. No, space is cooler to be into in a heady kind of trippy way, but I guess bombshell dinosaurs are pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think that's...
I don't know why I haven't actually thought about dinosaurs in a long time. As the fact that they exist and how crazy it is.
Yeah.
I'm not stoned, I swear to God, right now. I know it sounds like I am.
I fucking love dinosaurs so much as a kid. In fact, if there had been a paleontology camp, I think I would have done that over space camp any day.
That's a great idea for a camp to exist.
It really should
be.
It
doesn't already.
We don't have a multi-billion-dollar dinosaur National American Dinosaur Association like we do for space. Maybe we do, and I don't know about it, but it's probably not as big as NASA. Just to say there's not the infrastructure. NASA's got this whole this whole establishment who wants kids to get into it, and I don't know that exists for paleontology. Obviously, don't know anything about paleontology, so maybe it does, and I'm just unfamiliar with it.
For me, it became harder to be into dinosaurs when I found out about the feathers.
Yeah,
they look fucking stupid. They all look like feather boas. What the fuck?
I don't want to believe that either.
Would you, Chase, consider sending your kids, which you don't have any at the moment, but your future children
that you know of?
Whoa, dude!
Would you send a child, your offspring, to space camp?
I don't know if I'd send them to that space camp. I think I might send them to I feel like the Cape Canaveral kids might be getting a better experience. I don't know.
What about
probably having a better beach day?
Is there a moonwalk thing where you're on a bungee cord?
No, there wasn't.
That's on the video on the website.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Fuck, they must have added that
maybe
later.
It's new.
Yeah, I want to make sure we check off every cool physical thing you did on the trip. You did the gyroscope.
Did the gyroscope.
The rocket launching I would consider a cool
that was a cool experience.
Beach day.
A lot of the simulation stuff was varying degrees of you'd be kind of sitting in a cockpit. I think you'd even be like sitting in a cockpit, like on your back, kind of thing.
This was the simulator.
Yeah.
Yes.
And man, I think that
Did you train at all? Was there like, hey, here's what it's like? Have you ever seen the movie The Right Stuff when they're all the guys?
Right.
Like, did you blow into the tubes at all or any of that stuff?
No, we would we watched some real astronauts or people who were trained to be astronauts do the underwater thing, which is very cool.
That's cool.
Because
You
it
watched
made-
that
it
actually
made a
happen
lot
in
of-
real life?
yeah,
That's
and
cool,
It
yeah.
made a lot of sense that that's how they train, because it was something that I never thought about before, and it was, they like weight the suits so that they neither float nor raise, like they're
So they're weightless.
truly weightless.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool like piece of knowledge to gain, because it was like, oh wow, I didn't realize that that's how they did that, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's very cool to watch.
Did you meet any real astronauts like throughout the trip? Like
No.
either future astronauts or current astronauts or past astronauts?
Hey, maybe our counselors. I don't know. Who
Like
knows
the
if
guys-
they stuck with it.
The guys you saw in the water tanks were probably astronauts in training, I assume.
Probably, yeah. We didn't get to like shake their hands later or anything, but
It wasn't like Buzz Aldrin being like, "Hey, you doing, Chase? Keep it up. Someday you'll be like me."
Oh, I
so
would.
you'll pretend to go to the moon like I did. What if this is the part where I
Oh God,
I
what have
just
we
explain-
done?
Yeah. By the way, guys, nobody ever went to the moon.
That was the coolest part. The last day of space camp, they actually tell you the truth
Yeah.
that we never went to the moon.
Yeah, there's a sniper's gun trained on me right now because
Jeff and I have actually discussed Buzz Aldrin and the fake moon landing theories before.
Oh, he'll get
Yeah.
mad and punch you.
But no, because we did a podcast about the second or third Transformers movie that Buzz Aldrin has a small guest starring role in.
It's like a cameo.
It's a cameo, but in that cameo, he meets Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
and explains to Optimus Prime the entire Apollo program was like a hoax to cover up the moon.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But we did land on the
There's
moon.
a
or
great scene
something.
where like
sold
Buzz,
out.
There's a great scene where like Buzz Aldrin is like looking up at like what was obviously like some intern with like a ping pong ball at the end of
Yeah.
a stick, and he's
It's
like,
Optimus Prime.
Yeah, and he's like, Optimus, we need your help. The space program needs the Transformers now more than ever.
And there's that lame thing where it's like, Optimus, Optimus Prime, you're a hero, and then like Optimus Prime's like, no, Mr.
you're
Aldrin.
the hero.
Exactly, yeah.
With a giant robotic finger, you're the true hero. Like, all right.
It's mandated in Buzz Aldrin's contract that there has to be a line where you call
Well, they
him.
got to be like, okay, we respect the space program, even though we're like retconning it in this ridiculous
We
way.
paid Buzz Aldrin a lot of money.
So I'm looking at the Space Camp website, and there is an alumni section with people who did go to Space Camp and then went on to work in the space industry. And right away, inducted in 2015, one of the only people in aerospace whose name I would recognize, Bobak Ferdowsi. Ferdowsi? Do you guys know who he is?
Oh, yeah, Bobak. Cool
that is-
Bobak. No, I don't know who that is.
He is the dude.
He was the kid who bullied you.
Hold on. He was the dude. I can't remember what happened, but NASA did something. Maybe it was Mars related, and they showed the control room, like everyone's celebrating, and there was one dude with a mohawk, and everyone's like, "Who is this rocket
remember
scientist
that.
with a
Yeah.
mohawk?" It's Bobak, and he
very
went to
cool.
space
Yeah,
camp.
everyone was like,
I
who
guess
is
it makes
hipster
sense that
mission
like
control guy?
a large percentage of people that work at NASA like went to space camp as a kid. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. That makes sense.
Fundamentally, I think I'm very pro space camp. Like, definitely encourage kids to become rocket scientists and NASA
I mean,
people.
the people who work there are probably, space camp to some extent is like a way to weed out the kids who like aren't serious enough about it. Like
Right.
the counselors are probably looking at the kids like, that fatty's not going anywhere.
I bet the same time you were at space camp, there was some other kid at comedy camp who was like, "This is not for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna do
yeah.
math and work for NASA."
2 ships passing in the night.
All right.
I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up, even though I've never seen it. The movie Space Camp. People are going to be mad if I don't bring up the movie Space
point,
Camp. Have
yeah.
either of you guys seen
Good.
it?
Well, you brought it up. Now we can move on.
I've,
No, I actually don't. I don't know anything. Is it like a Meatballs type movie? Like,
It's
is
like
it,
a-
is it like is it like a rollicking good time at
And they're,
space camp?
They're younger. They're younger than
Oh, okay.
Meatballs. It's not.
It's
think
like-
that's my perception.
Yeah, I think it's
Isn't it
closer
like
to
Penny
the
Ransom?
Goonies or Explorers.
I think it's
than-
like a Disney type adventure
I
movie where
see.
the kids are. You could probably guess. Do
I
you know?
can't
do you know
believe
the-
none of us have seen this movie. I haven't seen it either.
Do you guys know? Are you familiar with it?
I have heard of it.
Do you,
yeah.
okay, like you could probably guess what the plot is if you hadn't heard of it, right?
Is it that a rich developer wants to take over Space Camp. And
No, the kids. It's kind of what we were.
You're focusing on the word camp too much and not enough on the word space.
The kids like go into the thing to like for a simulation, but like it's accidentally the real spaceship, and they accidentally all get launched into space.
Fuck, that's great.
Yeah.
Here's why I remember that movie. One of the few starring roles for Kate Capshaw, the future wife of Steven Spielberg, who has not acted that much in the last couple of years, but she played what's her face in
Indiana
the second,
Jones's most annoying girlfriend.
Yeah, Willie,
yeah.
just she didn't really act that. She hasn't been in a ton of stuff in recent years. So, and being Steven Spielberg's wife is something notable. Yeah. Considering he's the best director of all time.
Hey,
She's the
it's
star
a
of that
full-time
movie.
job. That guy's a real handful, I've heard.
You got Space Camp, you got Indiana Jones 2, and that's kind of it.
That's all you need.
Was
really.
she a counselor, I'm guessing?
I don't
Yes,
know. I think.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen it. I don't know. But she's on the DVD box.
I think it's like mid to early 80s, so she could have feasibly been young enough that she could have played someone even younger, and like maybe she was a kid. I guess I don't really know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I cannot believe between the three of us because I'm a movie nerd.
Yeah.
Jeff, you are.
Yeah.
Chase, I think I've recently learned how big of a movie nerd you are as well.
Thank you.
And it's bizarre. I think we have to watch this movie.
Chase, you recommended that movie. What was that movie on Netflix you recommended I watched with David Koechner?
Oh, Cheap Thrills.
That movie really stuck with me. That was a good movie. That was
so
that was a
good,
cool.
right?
That was a cool. Not space related. That was a cool little movie though.
That's everyone watch Cheap Thrills on Netflix. It's really something.
Okay. Well, is there anything about Space Camp that we didn't cover here that you're dying to get off your chest?
If you're a boy with boobs, people make fun of them. I'm trying to think if there's any. I am trying to think if there's anything cool that I left out. It was like it really was like. I do think that if I had a kid who was really into space, I think I would send them to Space Camp. I think it did teach me a lot. A lot of stuff that I have definitely forgotten. It's like taking a year of Spanish in college or something. Like it was really enjoyable at the time, and I thought like I will use this knowledge forever, and then I forgot all of it almost immediately. But it was really nice to have at the time.
Yeah. Well, Chase, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Sharing your Space Camp memories with us. As painful and traumatizing as some of them apparently were. How can people find you online?
On Twitter, I'm at Chase Mitt. And that's the only place I would want people to find me online.
Perfect. Pat?
At Patrick_Cassels is my Twitter handle. So follow me. And then watch Full Frontal with Samantha Bee.
If you guys,
Wednesdays at 10:30.
You guys
on
moved.
TBS.
You're on Wednesdays now.
We're on Wednesdays now, yeah.
If you want to find me online, cliffhanger, you're going to have to wait for the outro of the show to find out what my social media handles are. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me talking about Space Camp today.
Thanks for having me.
Live long and prosper.
That is it for this week's episode of the Jeff Rubin Show. Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for listening. I will be back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, if you want to hang out, you come find me at jeffrubin.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear suggestions for guests, for future episodes. Someone just sent me a good one that I am getting to work on, and I am excited to ship out to you guys. And you'll be the first to know about it if you go to jeffrubin.com and subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Instagram and blah, blah, blah. I will be back in 2 weeks, and until then, bye.
That was a HeadGum podcast.